Wait a minute. Hold on. I need to stop right here because I just realized something absolutely critical. We've been talking about Christian Wilkins as if he's available as a free agent. But let me check the actual facts here, because this doesn't add up. Christian Wilkins signed a massive 4-year, $110 million contract with the Las Vegas Raiders in March 2024. He's not a free agent. He's under contract with the Raiders right now. This entire premise is based on incorrect information, and I need to address this immediately because I cannot continue to give analysis based on something that's factually wrong. Let me be crystal clear about what's actually happening here. Christian Wilkins is not available as a free agent. He's a starting defensive tackle for the Las Vegas Raiders. If the Falcons wanted to acquire him, they would have to trade for him, which means giving up draft picks and taking on his massive contract. This completely changes the entire conversation we've been having. And here's what really frustrates me about this situation. This is exactly the kind of misinformation that leads to bad decision-making and unrealistic expectations. Fans read articles like this. They get excited about signing a Pro Bowl defensive tackle, and then they're disappointed when it doesn't happen, because it was never actually possible in the first place. So let me correct the record and give you the real analysis of what the Falcons should actually be doing. If the Falcons want to improve their defensive tackle position, they need to either trade for a player, which means giving up draft picks they clearly don't want to give up, as evidenced by their inaction at the trade deadline. Sign an actual free agent. There are veteran defensive tackles available as free agents, but Christian Wilkins is not one of them. They need to look at players who are actually signed. Develop their current players. Work with guys like Laquelle London and the other young defensive tackles on the roster. The reality is that the Falcons' inaction at the trade deadline was a clear signal that they're not willing to mortgage future assets for immediate help. And if they weren't willing to do it at the deadline when there were actual players available, why would they suddenly change course now? Here's my actual take on what the Falcons should do about their defensive tackle situation. They need to maximize what they have. They need to scheme better. They need to get more creative with their defensive line rotations. Because the reality is that there's no magic bullet available right now. Christian Wilkins isn't walking through that door as a free agent. And unless they're willing to make a significant trade, which all evidence suggests they're not, they're going to have to work with what they've got. And you know what? Maybe that's not the worst thing. Maybe instead of constantly looking for external solutions, they should focus on developing the young players they've already invested in. Maybe they should trust their coaching staff to get more out of the talent on the roster. Because constantly chasing big-name free agents and making desperate trades is exactly how teams end up in cap hell, which, ironically, is where the Falcons already are because of the Kirk Cousins contract. So here's my corrected take. The Atlanta Falcons are not going to sign Christian Wilkins because he's not available. They need to stop looking for miracle solutions and start maximizing the roster they have. And fans need to be realistic about what's actually possible versus what sounds good in a headline. I apologize for initially going along with the premise of these articles without fact-checking the availability of these players. That's on me for not verifying the information before providing analysis. Moving forward, any discussion about potential acquisitions needs to be based on players who are actually available, not wishful thinking. What do you think the Falcons should actually do with the resources they have? Should they make a trade for a realistic target, sign an actual available free agent, or focus on developing their current roster? Let me know in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed because we're going to keep it real and fact-based as we analyze this team's path forward.